This land between the San Diego River and Mission Gorge Road is an old industrial site which one local resident has called a big pile of junk. That's why some people from Grantville welcome plans to create a housing development here called Riverbend when it came before the San Diego Planning Commission. Sherm Harmer is with the development manager, Urban Housing Partners.
That this is going to provide a standard, a new standard, kind of a prototype of what all development should look like along the river. We've oriented the housing to the river. We've put parks and active recreation on the river. It's just unprecedented right now in San Diego to have such a development. So we're happy to be the first.
Riverbend would be a community of condos and apartments in buildings rising to 75 feet, imagine 6 or 7 stories. There would be 996 housing units, but its big selling point, and the one that caused Rob Hutzel of the San Diego River Coalition to support it, is its 5-acre park right along the river.
That's a big deal for us. There aren't a lot of park space directly on the river. If you think about it, can you go anywhere in Mission Valley or in Grantville and go enjoy a river experience? No.
In fact, the land next to the river in Grantville gives no access to the river. It's literally fenced off. But the community of Grantville was not unanimous in its support of Riverbend. In fact, its community planning group refused to endorse it. The opposition is based on concerns about the things that more people and greater housing density bring to a place. They include an estimated 7,600 new car trips a day, possibly clogging local roads.
I think that the traffic is the worst part of this whole thing. I mean, even in their own EIR, it says they don't deal with the traffic mitigation. And as a person who sits in that traffic and has to deal with that, just trying to take my children to preschool, it's horrible.
Then there's the height of the buildings, which the developer originally wanted to be 85 feet.
It dwarfs our whole neighborhood. I don't understand how we go from a 30-foot limit that Navajo community planners recommend, and all of a sudden we get to 85 feet. How does that even get in front of you guys? I don't understand it.
To understand the concerns about Riverbend, you have to realize this would not be an isolated housing tract. In fact, it's not even the first one proposed for the area. The first was Archstone. Archstone is the name of a planned development of more than 400 homes. It's already been approved, and it's going to be built right here, just 1 block west of the Riverbend site. Now, Archstone is the first step in a much larger redevelopment plan that could bring as many as 10,000 new homes to this area near the San Diego River. In other words, the development of Riverbend isn't just about the estimated 2,000 people it would bring to Grantville. It's about the 22,000 additional people that could eventually populate the region. Development manager Sherm Harmer defends the height of Riverbend. He says sometimes you have to build higher and block some views if you want to leave enough space for a 5-acre park.
So when people just think about the issue of height, they're not thinking about the impacts on the ground. And the quality of life can be severely impacted on the ground unless you have enough open space.
Anthony Wagner is a longtime Grantville resident and a member of the Navajo Community Planners, the group that refused to endorse the Riverbend project. He was disappointed that the San Diego Planning Commission approved Riverbend in its current form, but he insists he would support it if community concerns were addressed.
I'm not opposed to it. I'm not opposed to developing this land. I am an advocate towards developing the land properly.
There is definitely one thing Wagner and the developer agree on. Riverbend is a prototype for redeveloping the industrial lands that line the San Diego River in Grantville. But they disagree on whether it's setting the kind of example that should be followed in the many other housing tracts that are expected to take root here in the years to come.